Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole. This is another one of our weekly video chats about what's going on in Congress. In the House of Representatives, actually, not a lot's going on right now. I'm actually broadcasting to you or talking to you from my district office in Norman, Oklahoma. That's because the House has not been in session this week. The Senate has been. So my week here has been, frankly, like all my district weeks since the coronavirus crisis began. I do a lot of Zoom calls and conference calls. I was on the phone earlier today with the realtors in the northern end of the district, so to speak. Actually, statewide with the Realtors Association. I do a lot of telephone calls, talked with the families of young people with special rare diseases and what can be done to help them. Talk with my colleagues on various committees about what's coming up. All of us, though, are waiting on the negotiation that's taking place on the fifth coronavirus supplemental. As you'll recall, the House actually produced a bill about 2 months ago, the so-called HEROES Act, $3.4 trillion. Now remember, to give you an idea, normally the total federal budget's $4.4 trillion. We actually appropriate only about 1.3 to 4 trillion a year in 12 different bills. So a single bill at $3.4 trillion would be the largest bill ever passed by any Congress in the history of the United States. That's the Democratic proposal. Not even all the Democrats support it, quite frankly. Quite a few of them didn't vote for it, and they barely got it passed. Republicans have a $1 trillion alternative, and that's not passed the Senate, but it's been laid on the table as a negotiation position by the administration. So right now we have talks going on between Secretary of the Treasury Steve Mnuchin, the President's new Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and Speaker Pelosi and Minority Leader Schumer in the Senate. Now there are other people involved. Mitch McConnell is briefed after each negotiation. He's the Republican leader in the Senate, and frankly, nothing can come onto the floor of the Senate unless he agrees. So just even if a deal was reached, if he decided he opposed it, it would never get voted on. And obviously the President of the United States isn't in the room, although his representatives are, and he's very actively involved. So what we do know is the two sides have narrowed their differences, but have not been able to come to a deal. And I think the danger here is that the Democrats honestly overplay their hand. They've not moved much towards the Republicans. The Republicans have moved toward them. I do regret that Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer decided not to accept the president's offer to keep paying people the extra $600 a week in unemployment compensation while the talks continue. Why the Democrats didn't do that, I don't know, but literally millions and millions of Americans won't get $600 this week that they otherwise would have gotten. That seems to me perfectly reasonable while you negotiate to hold everybody harmless, but for whatever reason, Democrats decided not to do that, and I think that's unfortunate. My hope is we reach a deal. Again, both sides have put offers on the table, so each side clearly thinks we need a deal. They agree on some things. They agree about the need for reforms in the Paycheck Protection Program and additional money there. They agree about the need for direct assistance to Americans. They actually both even agree there needs to be some sort of supplemental payment on top of unemployment. While they don't agree about aid to state, local, and tribal governments, the Republicans have said we're willing to do what we did in the last bill, which is $150 billion. They also both agree there needs to be additional federal money both for hospitals and to help schools open up safely. So there's a lot of common elements. The difficulty here is that I think the Democrats have come to the conclusion this is a heads I win, tails you lose negotiation. That is, they either get the bill they like, which is a lot more expensive and has a lot more policy provisions than Republicans would like, or if there's not a deal, they think it hurts the Republicans in terms of holding the Senate, hurts the president's reelection prospects. They may well be right about that, but I've been around politics long enough to know that you can overplay your hand. And if that happens and we get no deal, The real losers are the American people and the millions of people that won't get the assistance they otherwise could have had during this critical period. So, again, it's my hope that the negotiators continue to negotiate, that they do it in good faith, and then we can arrive at a deal. But doesn't look like we'll have one this week, and may well go past next week. I understand the Senate has decided to come home. That's not a good sign. That would make you think this might take longer than one would hope. But regardless, I think it's important that we have a deal, and I hope each side can reach one. But if not, again, the people that were actually doing the negotiation bear the responsibility, and I think in this case, that's much more Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer, particularly since they turned down the chance for millions of Americans to actually get relief payments while the discussion was going on. Why they did that mystifies me. So with that, I look forward to visiting with you next week, hopefully with happier news, and hopefully the negotiators will have narrowed the differences, or better yet, come to a deal, and we can talk about the time frame of a vote on that and what the elements of it are. Right now, most of us in Congress are like most of the American people. It's hard to know how you're going to vote on a deal until you know what's actually in the deal, and right now we don't.